problem, or you think that maybe you want to stop drinking so much wine or so many cocktails when you come home from work. Like, it's not a problem. You're not an alcoholic, but you think that you're overdoing it or you're doing it too much. I actually have a couple clients right now that have been working with this and going through some issues with this. And I had a client win with this yesterday, and we broke the habit. And I say it's a habit because it wasn't alcoholism. It wasn't a problem with alcohol. That was how she was coping. It was how she was treating some other symptoms. And she thought it was a problem with drinking too much. Here, you're going to about to find out on the Daily Fight what the problem actually was. But first, I want to welcome you to the Daily Fight, my life podcast. This is going to be coming to an end next week, doing the lives. So on this Friday, make sure that you tune in. We've been talking about connecting the dots, advocating for yourself, fighting for your future self, having some courage, and being very just unabashed about the things in your life, meaning doing it without fear or guilt or shame, and being unapologetic about your desires and having some grit and fortitude behind it. No matter what's going on, it doesn't mean that you're going to go, especially doesn't mean that you're going to go without challenges. We all have challenges. It's how you face those and how you show up without judging others. Yesterday, I talked about, that when we are judging and we find ourselves judging others, that if we have enough time to do that, that we have enough time to actually look within ourselves and see, to do the inner work and see why we're placing judgment, why that bothers us, what we don't understand about it, and to get curious. Because if there is something off, that I'm not a big fan of the trigger word, but if there's something that causes an emotion in you that maybe sparks your emotions to get a little unruly, to rises up that like inner beast. I call it my inner turbo. Why? What is it causing inside of you? Is it something you're lacking or desiring, something that you're missing, something that's reminding you of? Is it something that you wish that you were doing, you wish that you had? Those are always ways for you to perform some self-reflection in your life. So that's what we talked about this week, really. And then really connecting the dots in your life, which is what I want to talk to you about with the wine and the alcohol. And maybe for you, it's not wine or alcohol or drinking. Maybe it is food. Maybe it's smoking, or maybe you vape. Maybe it's other type of medications that you're self-medicating with. It could be scrolling. It could be porn. It could be overspending. Whatever it is, you know what you are soothing yourself with, treating yourself with, self-medicating yourself with, numbing yourself out with. You already know what you're doing. Everybody's got a secret little sin or a secret vice or something. It could be laziness. It could be self-pity. It could be victim. It could be playing that victim. It could be that, just you want people to feel sorry for you. It could be people pleasing. It could be throwing yourself into other people's problems and issues. It could be drama. Whatever it is something that is really a disease in your body from the inside out, that is a symptom of something else that is going on. And for her, this was a way of coming home from work. And let's see if this sounds, true for you, to distinguish work, end of work day, and it was a separation. The day is done and now I can rest. Or I had a horrible day, so now I'm going to have a drink because I earned it or I deserved it. Or yay, let's go out and celebrate because we closed a deal. Or let's go out and celebrate because it's a birthday or it's an anniversary. Or let's go have a date night, so let's go have a drink. Or it's girls' night, so let's go have a drink. Or let's go out and eat and celebrate. That's like a societal thing, right? Like, that's what we're supposed to do. Or I'm really sad, I'm depressed, or I'm stressed, or I'm mad, or I'm pissed off, I need a drink. How many times have we said that? Or we go eat our feelings. We've said this a lot. I've been in the fitness industry for more than 2 decades. So it's something that I've heard many times from my clients. The problem is, that's not the problem. We think that it is. And so even when we've been working on this for quite some time, and even when, she's like, it's not a problem anymore. She didn't even realize that it was never the problem to begin with. Her drinking was never a problem. It never kept her from, she never did it to get drunk. She never did it to get buzzed. It never kept her from exercising. It never kept her from eating healthy. It never kept her from being a good mother. It never made her go do drinking and driving. She never got arrested. She never like made herself like get sick and throw up. She was, never not functional. She wasn't a functional alcoholic. She didn't have to get up and drink. Like it wasn't, she didn't make her irate or irrational. Like it wasn't a problem in her life. It was just becoming a habit, that it was something she did and used to cope with the other things that were going on, to numb out or to reward herself or to escape or to create boundaries in her day, to tell her brain it's time to turn off and shut down. You may do it by coming in and sitting down on the couch and turning on the TV and getting the bag of chips out and sitting down and then playing the games on your phone, kicking off your shoes and laying back on the couch, and you're done for the day and you don't have to think about all the things on your to-do list and all the things that you put off, and all of the weight of that worry just goes away as you veg out in front of the TV and scrolling on your phone, and you're still getting those dopamine hits, right? So insert the alcohol story into whatever you want. So we started working on the real problem. And the real problems was that she didn't have work-life boundaries. She was working, not 24/7, but she was overworking. She was over-exercising. She was putting way too many things on her plate. She's still putting way too many things on her plate. She had no healthy boundaries at work. She was not speaking up for herself. She was saying yes to everything. She was keeping the peace in her marriage. She wasn't speaking up for the things that she wanted in her marriage. She was not speaking up for the things that she wanted in her workplace. She was pretty much a doormat and getting walked on and taking it because she's tough, because she powers through, because she's super strong and super successful, and because she's a people pleaser and she likes to put on a pretty front. She doesn't want anybody to know that anything is wrong, and she wants people to like her. She doesn't want to hurt anybody's feelings. And she wants to get the job done, and she wears the pants in the family, and she's got a lot riding on her shoulders. Does that sound familiar? Do you have a lot of pressure on you? Do you carry the bankroll? Do people rely on you? Do you have a team? Do you have a family? Do you feel like you need to look a certain way? Do you want people to like you? Do you never know when to stop? And because she was keeping these things bottled up, she was having feelings of resentment and bitterness. She was burnt out, exhausted, tired, waking up. Her soul was tired. Her spirit was tired. She was mad. She was angry. We had to do a lot of lessons in actually expressing these things. There's a lot of depth to it, a lot of questioning, a lot of hard truth bombs, some still to come that she's probably not going to like. But the win is that we started working on these things. She's speaking up for herself. She's scheduling the fun. She's doing things with and without her husband. She's planning trips by herself, with her girlfriends, and with her kids. She's cutting off the work day, right? She's keeping the schedule and stopping at a certain time. She's not taking on every client just to make bank. She's starting to be very more specific with which clientele she takes on. She's not taking just anybody so that she has this financial security. She's getting a little more specific and particular with the type of client that she works with, so she doesn't have the headache on the back end. She's starting to speak up for herself and actually express her true emotions and her feelings, and not waiting to see how the other person feels, or waiting for permission to get somebody else's permission to schedule in her fun or to take a break, because she has to work really hard and all the time in order to be successful, because those were her beliefs. So as we started to break through some of those, guess what she stopped doing? Coming home and drinking. At first it was, you know, instead of 2 or 3 drinks, just 1 drink every night. And it was once or twice. And then it was just on the weekends. And then it was just when she went out. And now it's, I can go out and I don't have to have one at all. I can go to events and just have one in an entire weekend, or not have any at all and not care about what other people think if I'm drinking or not drinking. And keep in mind, this was her thing. So if watching TV is your thing, maybe it's picking up a book. Maybe it's going to exercise or walk around the block. Maybe it's listening to a podcast or doing a course or writing the book. Maybe it's journaling for you. Maybe it's sewing or knitting or gardening. I don't know what. Maybe it's learning to play the guitar. Maybe it's actually engaging and interacting with your kids, especially if you have little kids. Maybe it's stretching and doing yoga. Maybe it's reading the Bible. Maybe it's joining a group. Maybe it's hiring a coach. Maybe it's starting your side business. Maybe it's learning a new skill. It could be something different from you. But the thing is she still didn't connect the dots. She thought she solved the problem of I don't have to drink anymore. I don't have an alcohol problem or a wine problem. That was never the problem. We broke the habit of treating the symptoms. We realized that it got bad to the point where the next day it took a day to recover, 2 days to recover. She felt like crap. She felt like she was still waking up tired. She was still burnt out. She was still exhausted. She was still mad. She was still pissed off. She was still resentful that she still needed. She still had those feelings inside bottled up. She still needed communicated. She still needed the courage to release those things. She still needed the liberation and the freedom and the permission to give herself to start doing the things that brought her joy, even if she had to do them on her own without her husband, even though her husband is her best friend and they've been married for like 30 years. That's hard to do. That's hard to do by yourself. That's not easy. But to be able to break that habit and to start speaking up for yourself and to start communicating your needs and your desires, even if you're not going to get the outcome right away that you want, and to have the courage to start doing those things and to start incorporating it in. That's the win. To start solving that is the root cause. So you that's sitting on the couch, that feels lazy, that is overweight, that just can't seem to quite figure out why the gym's not effing working, why the calorie counting, why the macro counting, why all the programs that you've tried is not working. It's not the gym. It's not the calories. And I'm not saying go eat all the crap and all the food. You keep going there because you think that's where your answers are. And here's the flip side of it. You need help connecting the dots. And I know I coach for a living. This is how I make a living. People hire me, people pay me money to help them diagnose what that is, to help them create a strategic plan that is not cookie cutter for them, that helps them figure out that you don't have a wine problem, you don't have a lazy problem, you don't have a scrolling problem, you don't have a food problem. She had a unexpressed emotion problem. She had a I'm not doing enough of the things that I really want to do because I'm not courageous and bold enough to do it on my own. She had a I'm too scared to speak up for myself problem. She had I don't really know what I want problem. She had a I don't want to do it alone problem. I shouldn't have to do it alone problem. I'm effing mad that I have to do it alone problem. And she had a I'm holding it all inside problem because I think I have to have this pretty picture life problem. And until you learn to release that, you're going to keep treating it with whatever your coping mechanism is of choice. And we all have one. So, like I mentioned in the beginning, whatever your treatment is, to band-aid it, to treat your symptom, to numb out for a little bit. And that is why you stay in the stuck cycle. So go take my quit quiz, robintanner.com/quit quiz. You'll see where you're stuck at, or if you're settling, or if you're suffering or second guessing, and you keep starting over and over again. Because there's a cycle there. And until you learn and you know where the dots are to connect, and that's where a really good coach comes in, because it might not be, everything might be not that bad or okay, or I have a pretty good life. And sometimes that's part of the problem, because it's not until you start digging deeper that you figure out that the problem is not the problem. The problem usually is beneath what you think it is. It's hidden. And usually it's like a little bit deeper and a little bit darker. And the cool thing is that once you figure out what it is and we unlock that and we uncage it, it's free. You can't unlearn it. You can't go back. You can't unknow it. And it's free. It's like literally if you could close your eyes and imagine a beautiful, beautiful vintage bird cage and the most beautiful bird being set free. That's what it's like. You'll never get that bird back in the cage again, and you can't unlearn it, and that is priceless. And that's why investing in yourself is not cheap. That's why coaching is not, at least coaching with me is not cheap, because you are not cheap and your dreams are not cheap. And getting to those answers, sometimes it takes a year, sometimes 5 years, sometimes 5 minutes, sometimes 5 sessions, sometimes 5 months, sometimes a 5 week program, sometimes 50 minutes. But once you unlock it, it's yours forever. And once you get to that pattern, it's not an overnight magic pill. It's not poof fairy dust. I love to say that. It's a gradual. We started gradually. She didn't just boldly like bust through the doors and be like, blah, 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 and start barking out orders at her husband and her kid and her team and her staff and, you know, her old self and her current self and her future self and her badass self and her little kid inside and her wounded warrior and her little child inside. Like, no, these were slow, steady, gradual, step by step steps, literally little breaths that eventually led to this is not a problem anymore. But then even realizing that, holy shit, it was never a problem to begin with. It's just not how I treat myself anymore. But the problem is no longer a problem. God, I hope somebody is getting this. Let me say it again, that the problem is no longer a problem anymore. And that will apply in your personal life, your physical life, and your professional life. It will apply to how you handle the relationship with yourself, how you treat your body, how you nourish it, how you rest it, how you fuel it, how you talk to it, how you give to it generously or scarcely or harshly. All right. In your personal life, if you isolate or push others away or guard yourself with others, or you give freely and you open your heart and you receive people and you forgive people and you open your heart to people. Because I know what it's like to be hurt and to be rejected. I'm going to be sharing some tough stories next week that I've never really shared before because I've been doing some deep work and I've really come to some realizations about why some of these things in my life, like why I've done the things that I've done, why I've been so fierce and strong and determined and tenacious and perseverance, and how those things have helped me survive and achieve and be successful and get to where I've gotten. But they're not going to get me to the next step. And I got to release those things. And they've come to me like poof out of the blue overnight, but really it's been 9 years of work. And that's how it happens. That's how coaching happens. That's how diagnosing the real problem happens. That's how the growth happens. And then that shows up in your professional life. So for those of you that are, relaunching or reinventing your jobs or in a new level in your job, right? Or you want to change or you want to quit, go take my quit quiz. You want to quit your job. You're in a job you no longer belong at, or you're in a place you no longer belong in. You want to quit. You want to walk out. You want to start something else, or you want to write a book on the side, or you want to do something else, or you want to go volunteer, or you want to advance or ask for a raise, or you want to just change roles within your company, or whatever it might be, right? Maybe it's time to retire and you want to start something fresh, or maybe you just retired and you have a blank slate and you have no idea what you want for the second half of your life, which, by the way, is freaking amazing. And it's a whole life ahead of you. It is not almost over. It is just beginning. You are just getting started. All of that will matter. But you've got to be willing to connect the dots. You got to be willing to be honest and do the work and dig deeper. And you have to be willing to let somebody else in to connect the dots and see your patterns, because you can't see it. You cannot see it. You're too close. This is the Daily Fight. My name is Robin Tanner. Please go check out my quick quiz. It's totally free. It'll take you like 5 minutes to take it. Don't overthink it. Just bam, 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 like rapid fire. Go through it really quickly. It will email you some very simple, basic results, and it will lead you somewhere else on my page. Honestly, I have no idea. You can also go to my F bombs, which is a little X-rated, or not, I shouldn't say X-rated. It's not X-rated, it's R-rated. There is cursing in there because it is F-bombs. But that really takes you through 16 different steps of how you could be sabotaging your own personal growth and journey. So take the time. I think it's probably like a 90-minute overall course, but you can break it up into pieces. It's totally free. There's plenty of free resources out there, and I'll leave you with this. But here's the difference. If you don't actually invest, this woman that has worked with me has probably invested, oh, I mean, $60,000, $70,000 working with me over the past 5 years, maybe more. I mean, I'd seriously have to add it up. And she's absolutely stunning and an amazing person. Still got more work to do. Still got a lot of work to do, but super, super successful, amazing, heart-centered, awesome individual, right? But you got to be willing to invest in yourself if you want to have all of the things without sacrificing yourself. And all of the things, I mean, time freedom, money freedom, freedom in your relationships, mainly with yourself. And freedom in your relationship with yourself, I mean that you get to be you. You get to show up as you, the ugly you, the awesome you, the badass you, the sad you, the happy you, that you don't have to hide. You don't have to put on a facade. You don't have to lie. You don't have to cheat yourself. You don't have to pretend. You get to show up as you. You get to show up to the conversation, to the world, to the room as you. You get to be honest without explaining yourself, without fear, without shame, without judgment. That's what I help you do. It's been an honor. This is the Daily Fight. This is Friday. That is probably way over my time, but I didn't want to rush this one. So think about me when the next time you go to use your coping mechanism. Let's start thinking about what are you treating really right now by doing your coping mechanism? What are you treating? What are we, and let's see if we can diagnose what it really is. Feel free to DM me if you would like to hop on a call and chat with me if you're interested in my Rise group coaching program, or I do have one-on-one coaching as well. I would love to serve you in that way. My name is Robin Tanner. Have an amazing weekend. It is a great weekend to reflect on yourself and rise up.